Everyone, welcome to the HackFest 2021 from OTF. We have now Saurabh Bhise from DY Patil College of Engineering, Pune. He will be presenting the first uh, session here on Saturday, uh, 9 a.m., Saturday, 30th January. Thanks. Take over from here, Saurabh.
I hope I'm audible.
Yep, you're audible.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. And I'm really grateful for Prakash sir giving me an opportunity to present. So I'm from the Patil Akurdi, and this is my first time giving presentation. So I'm alone in a lone pole from SPPU. So my project is POD Notifier. So what POD is basically.
We are not seeing your screen. Can you show up your slides?
Oh, sorry. So is it visible?
Yeah, it's visible. Now go to the first. Start from beginning.
Okay. I hope it is visible.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm from DYPCOE and I'm alone in this member.
Speak louder.
So yes, so in open forum, I have
Continue.
so I have a topic called pod app notifier. So it gives you the basically the changes in pod. So what usually we do that with help in Municube, we use kubectl get pods. So it notifies and all list all the pods which are currently running or it is not. So in pod notifier, it makes use of
What does it make use of?
it makes use of the web browser, and with the help of Flask, it will be um, giving all the updates in the local OS.
So
So
Flask is your web browser. Okay. Go
yes,
ahead.
so Flask API gives you the ability to launch a server and deploy application in that. So with help of kubeconfig, kubeconfig is somewhere it gives the whole it has the information of all the components that are required uh, for the Kubernetes. So it includes everything. Then I could plug it with to Kubernetes Python client. So I'll show you the code. I'll show you the code afterwards, and then the Kubernetes Python client will list all the items that I need, and it will deploy it in the web page. So the whole process goes on from list item to Kubernetes, and then kubeconfig, and then API gives on whole whole information through the server, and then I can access it with browser using localhost. So it's the demo time. So I think my screen is visible.
Yeah, it is visible. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'll So 8000 is the port number that is been assigned to the host, and then 5000 is the 5000 port number is the port number of the client side.
So you have to give the IP column port, or
no, I give the wrong
okay.
copy.
So the Docker run minus P 8000 column 5000. So server.
So you can see the server is running, and it is AWS GI server, and then the HTTP of this 5000 HTTP localhost 5000 is the port in which the app is running. But then if you have to access it outside the cluster, I have 8000. Okay, then I'll wait. Wait. So I think I'm having the problem. It's invalid kube config file.
It's showing the configuration on 8000.
Oh, yes.
No, Q exclamation, right? Why did you WQ? You wanted to save it?
No, sir. I think there's a problem.
So, no, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, you can go ahead. No, but you can. You don't have to complete. Okay, even if you can't show demo, that's fine. All we wanted to do was to. So you have got the Flask web server. You got the application. You are containerizing the application, the Docker container, and running it. And it is going to show, because it is going outside, it is not within the cluster IP. You are exposing it through the service, and the service is deployed outside, right?
Yes, sir.
That's what you are trying to show. Okay, so makes sense. So let's talk about what all the things you did. And you don't have to fully demonstrate, as long as we know. Parth had seen this, right? You have worked with Parth, so I don't have any doubt on what. So, yeah.
So I list the things what I learned from hackathon.
Yeah. The whole thing is, what did you learn? At the end of the day, we wanted you to learn certain things, and mainly Kubernetes, right? So go ahead.
So first of all, when interacting with the application and then dealing with the outside the cluster, you need to know the pod IP, and then Minikube is for when I had to practice with Kubernetes, and then you need a safe somewhere like a virtual environment. So Minikube somewhere a small virtual environment for Minikube, so for Kubernetes. And then kubectl was command mainly dealing with whole interaction with the Kubernetes, from listing to deploying from creating deployments to listing IP sources. Everything was possible with kubectl. And then Flask API had this dependency in Python, and then Python client was there for Kubernetes. Then Python client for Kubernetes was already in the uh, already in the support with Kubernetes.
Mhm.
So it can be further made possible.
Mhm.
So the future scope would be like to create a GUI application in localhost where you can access everything, you can list everything, you can make even your
Mhm.
deployments, pods, and make changes in the services also.
Mhm.
So that's all. Uh,
Yeah. So what I would say is now bring that terminal.
yes,
Uh,
sir.
bring that the desktop which you are using, where you have the Ubuntu, two of them. Go through the walk us through the code one time at least.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay, okay.
Yeah, that will help us at least evaluate saying that what the code you have done. And yeah, yeah, explain that code. What was it
Yes,
doing?
sir.
So yeah,
So I think my screen is visible.
yeah, it is visible, and you can walk through the code telling what is it doing. Line
Yes, sir.
number one, two, three.
So I'll be using two libraries, which is Flask and Kubernetes,
Mm-hmm.
and it has the Flask and the redirect is used for future purposes, and then render template is important.
Mm-hmm.
Render template, what gives is the when you're making in a web page,
Mm-hmm.
for example, HTML,
Mm-hmm.
then passing the content from this Kubernetes or any function that you are providing can be
Mm-hmm.
passed on to the web page.
Mm-hmm.
So index.html is the file name of my web page, and
Mm-hmm.
then content that has to be passed is the through the variable you can assign. It can be content or anything, but content is conventional.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you are deploying application outside the cluster, then you will also provide the host and the port number.
Mm-hmm.
This was usually the problem that I was dealing with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful for Parth for helping me out.
Mm-hmm. So
Um,
this is to make sure that you are able to do it outside the cluster IP, which is local. It goes
yes,
out, correct?
yes,
And it goes to a particular IP. Here you have given 00. So any IP that is outside should be able to pick up on the DNS side, on the port 5000, the node port, right?
yes.
So this is the node port you assigned. And that node port is external, and that is where you are trying to figure out what is happening. Why is you are not getting content? You are not clear. That is because of some some debugging. Yeah, that's fine. But what is this app route and all this? What is main and all that? Can you just
App route is the
uh-huh.
wrapper function sort of
Mhm.
in Python. So when we assign any root address for the web address, so
Yeah, correct. Root.
uh, for example, when I was giving this local host,
Hmm.
it is in the root.
Hmm.
Sorry,
Yeah, it is in the root. Okay, got it.
server is not running for now.
Yeah, no, no, no problem. So maybe server was not running. That is the reason it didn't show up.
So
Oh,
this signifies the root address,
correct.
and then uh, it has the home function,
Hmm.
and home function is listing the whole config files for Kubernetes, and then it is initiate the core V1 API is instantiated with client, and
Hmm.
then it is assigned as an object, and then it is listed with the help of list pod all namespaces,
Hmm.
and then assigned to the return variable, and that it is listed in the
Port name.
list
Hmm.
named pod name,
Hmm.
and it is indexed with help of the for loop, and then it lists all things. I will
Hmm.
show you the index HTML, that is the web page.
Hmm.
So I think screen is visible.
Hmm. Yeah, it is visible.
Content.
So you got a doc type HTML and you got some header and footer and all that.
So the content that I passed here,
Hmm.
so the content that I passed here is you can see here content,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm indexing it with the I, which is in the for loop. That is,
Mm-hmm.
so Flask has its own
Yeah.
possibility where you can deploy Python
Mm-hmm.
language, Python program in the web page.
Mm-hmm.
So while sometime you can allow to deal with basic Python functions. So I
Mm-hmm.
use the for loop, and then whole content is indexed with I variable, and then
Mm-hmm.
you can access it. And then within the list, it is 0, 1, and 2.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the okay, and then I'll show you the Docker file and
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
so the whole advantage where having Ubuntu as a base image, and then you need Python also.
Mm-hmm.
So then you will have to be dealing with pip installs. So
Mm-hmm.
there is a page called Python 3, Python colon 3.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It gives the base image with Python also.
Mm-hmm.
And then you assign working directory dot app in the container.
Mm-hmm.
There will be a directory
Mm-hmm.
and a app where you will be deploying apps. And the copy requirement X is the to optimize the building process of Docker. So I'll show you the requirements file now.
Okay, got it. So Docker file is all the things that you needed, and Flask has.
So Flask, Kubernetes, and all the dependencies listed in the requirements.
Mhm. Yeah, so Jinja 2, Pi 2, and all. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So appears like you have all that element that required to make it work, correct? The only thing is it has some debugging, and I hope by this time Rutu has joined. So Rutu, do you want to ask any question to Saurabh?
Oh, I think we have covered everything,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, he has started as from small and build up to this.
Mm-hmm.
Use all the resources, and the learning path also seems to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so as of
So
now,
we can go ahead and mark for him whatever we
yeah,
can. The only thing is we have to. Um, I just wanted to make sure that since we started before, I don't know when you entered, but
no, I
he
have,
was.
yeah,
Okay.
I was entered while he was presenting. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Uh, so we have time between the next participant, which is Sugandha. So before that, do you have any comments for Saurabh?
No, just again, the learning should not stop here.
Mm-hmm.
These are the cutting, not we can say cutting, these are the bleeding edge technologies. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So try to get more updated on this. We have like get associated with OTF, and anyone can help whatever doubts you have further also.
So one thing, I will stop recording here for whatever Saurabh has done, and we can put that out. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Saurabh, you have anything other than this to ask? So you have completed all the tasks that were required, right? All we need to do is evaluate and provide the results, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So I think I will just stop